They said it was love, but it felt more like slow poison wrapped in sweet words. I still remember the way he looked at me. Those soft eyes, the promises that felt like forever. You know, when someone holds your hand and makes you believe the world's finally safe again. That was him. Or at least the version of him he wanted me to see. I gave him everything, my time, my trust, my bloody heart. And he gave me nothing but memories sharp enough to cut through my soul. Started with small lies. Just a mate from work. Just a late shift. I ignored them because that's what love makes you do. You forgive, even when your gut's screaming it's wrong. I told myself he'd change. But one night, my phone lit up with a message that burned my entire world down. Her name was saved with a heart that used to belong to me. I didn't scream. I didn't cry, not that night. I just stared at that screen until the tears dried before they could even fall. That's when something inside me snapped. Quiet, cold, unbreakable. I realized I'd been living in his game for too long. And it was time he learned who I really was. People think revenge is loud shouting, breaking chaos. But the deadliest kind is silent. The kind that smiles while plotting. And trust me, when I smiled the next morning, he had no idea that I'd already started writing the end of his story. The next morning, I made him breakfast like nothing had happened. Toast, coffee, that fake little laugh he thought was love. He kissed my cheek, called me babe. And I smiled, the kind of smile that hides a storm behind it. He didn't know the woman standing in front of him wasn't the same girl he broke the night before. Something inside me had changed. I wasn't weak anymore, I was waiting. I watched him leave for work. His usual swagger in that cheap suit he thought made him a king. The moment the door closed, I just stood there, staring at the empty mug he'd left behind. It was almost poetic, full a few minutes ago, now just cold and useless. Like our love. I picked it up and whispered, "This time it's my move." You see, I didn't want to just hurt him back. No, that would be too easy. I wanted him to feel the same hollow pain he left inside me. Slow, haunting, and inescapable. So, I started with something small: silence. No calls, no texts, no questions. Just calm indifference. And oh, how it scared him. Within days, he started noticing. "You okay, love? You seem distant." I'd just smile and say, "I'm fine, babe." But inside, I was planning every detail, every step that would make him question his own sanity. I began collecting every secret, every lie he'd ever told me. Quietly, patiently, like a hunter tracing the scent of its prey. And when I found out who she was, the woman he risked it all for, I didn't feel anger. I felt purpose. Because now, I wasn't just going to take him down. I was going to make sure he watched everything he built burn piece by piece. I started pulling threads one by one, until the whole damn thing unraveled. There's a sick satisfaction in seeing the truth reveal itself. Like watching fog lift off a filthy window. I sat with mugs of tea at midnight, scrolling through messages, bank transfers, photos he foolishly left logged in his cloud. Every breadcrumb he dropped led me closer to the woman he'd been sneaking around with. She wasn't some glamorous rival from a movie. She was ordinary, smiling in snaps with him at pubs and markets, laughing like she owned a secret. That made it worse. It made it real. I made a list, not of things to smash but of moments to reclaim. The nights he spent at her flat, the dinners he lied about, the promises he used like costume jewelry. Cheap and easily taken off. I wrote down dates, times, excuses. I mapped his little universe of lies. I learned how his mates covered for him, how he'd charm his way out of rough spots with a laugh and a coy look. He was clever, sure, a right smooth talker, but underestimating me was his fatal mistake. While he basked in his own delusions, I began setting traps that looked like coincidences. A missed call left open, a lost receipt appearing in plain sight, a video casually uploaded where his face flickered in the background. I made sure the evidence found its way back to him in the bleakest, quietest hours. Not loud, not dramatic, just enough to gnaw at him. You know that creeping dread you get when something's off but you can't name it? I fed him that. Every day he woke up wondering if he'd imagined it. Every night he slept a little less easy. Revenge doesn't need fireworks. It needs precision. It needs the slow grind that wears down arrogance until a man begins to doubt himself. And that doubt, it's poison. I watched him start to wobble, like a bloke who's had one too many pints and suddenly realizes the floor's slick. It started small. A confused text at 2 a.m. A half-formed apology he couldn't even remember sending, little cracks in the ego he'd worn so proudly. He began double-checking things, scanning receipts, replaying conversations in his head. The bravado I once loved turned into frantic pacing. The man who once swaggered out of the flat now stood by the window, staring at the street like he'd lost his bearings. That was the sound I wanted, the soft, hollow panic when reality doesn't match the story you told yourself. I made sure his mates got curious too. A well-timed comment here, a stray message left open there. Nothing overt but enough to seed suspicion. Men cover for men, sure, but men also gossip when the story smells like scandal. I let them talk. I let rumors do their slow, filthy work. When one of his mates phoned me, asking if I'd heard anything, I simply hummed and said, "Oh, I don't know, mate." Watching him squirm while others whispered? Priceless. But I wasn't reckless. There were rules. Never burn bridges that could be useful, never play into his hands, and never give him the satisfaction of dramatic confrontation. I learned the art of patience, the kind that sits with a smile and feeds your anger into strategy. I'd rehearse what I'd say in the mirror but never used those lines. Actions were far sweeter than words. And as the days turned into a slow, unbearable ache for him, I felt an odd calm. Not joy, not yet, but the solid confidence of someone who knows the end before the show begins. By now, his sleep had thinned into nervous naps. He was a ghost moving through our life, half present, always alert. That's when I took the next step. Not loud, not brazen, but smart. I needed proof that would sting where it hurts. His pride, his career, his neat little reputation. So I started reaching out to people he thought were untouchable. Colleagues, the one HR clerk who always left her desk unlocked, the barista who remembered faces. I played the part of the bewildered girlfriend brilliantly. Pity opens doors in ways anger never could. They let me in, they showed me things he'd naively left exposed. Felt grim, but it felt necessary. I found receipts for dinners he swore were work meals, messages that slipped into something warmer when he'd had a few drinks, and an expense report with hotel nights that didn't add up. I printed, saved, and time-stamped everything. Then I did the clever bit, I let it appear like an accident. A forgotten folder on the office printer, a lost USB at the pub's lost and found, an email that accidentally CC'd the wrong person. Each piece of evidence found its way to the right eyes, and people started connecting dots. Men in suits aren't immune to whispers, especially when whispers come with proof. He began turning pale at the office, making excuses, stuttering when his manager asked for clarifications. I watched his confident stride shrink into a halting shuffle. The bloke who once strutted now made lame jokes and avoided eye contact. I felt cold satisfaction, not ugly glee, more a solemn reclaiming of my dignity. I didn't celebrate his fall. I built a mirror so he could watch himself tumble. And when the first official question arrived at his door, his knees practically went from under him. The rumors I'd fed became formal emails. The life he'd thought was bulletproof started to leak, and I watched, patient and unmoved, as the consequences began to assemble like storm clouds. He came home that evening looking like a man dragged through hell. His tie was loose, shirt creased, and for the first time in years he didn't have that smug grin plastered on his face. He slumped onto the couch, staring into nothing, like he was waiting for the world to just stop spinning. I asked, soft as ever, "Rough day?" He nodded without a word, rubbing his temples like his head was full of ghosts. He had no idea that the ghost sitting next to him was me, the version of me he'd buried under his lies, back now to collect what's owed. He muttered something about work, about misunderstandings and stupid rumors, and I just listened. Not a single question. Silence is powerful, it makes people spill more than you ever ask for. He kept talking, filling the air with excuses, desperate to be believed. I just smiled, that small pitying smile that says, "I know love." Inside I could feel the shift. The hunter had finally realized the woods weren't safe anymore. That night, I watched him sleep. Or rather, I watched him pretend to sleep. His breathing was shallow, uneven. Every sound made him twitch. Guilt does that, it eats through rest like rust on metal. I leaned against the wall and whispered, "You shouldn't have underestimated me." Not loud enough for him to hear, just enough for me to finally believe it. The next morning, I made sure the second blow landed harder. His company called. "We need to discuss your conduct." He froze mid-bite, his toast dropping to the plate. I tilted my head, concerned, but inside, I was screaming with satisfaction. He had no clue how far this web went, how neatly every thread tied back to him. And I wasn't done yet. Not even close. By the end of that week, his world had gone from calm to chaos. The office gossip turned into formal investigations. Whispers turned into written warnings. Every time his phone buzzed, I could see that flicker of dread in his eyes. He'd glance at me, almost pleading, like maybe I'd comfort him again like before. But I just gave him that polite half-smile, the kind you'd give a stranger on a bus. And oh, how it cut him. Because he knew. He wasn't my world anymore. He was just a memory I was slowly erasing in front of him. He tried to pull me back in, though flowers, dinner, apologies wrapped in guilt. "Let's start fresh," he said one night, holding my hand like it still meant something. I wanted to laugh. Fresh? You can't start fresh when the blood of betrayal still stains everything you touch. I pulled my hand away gently, said, "Maybe, but not yet," and watched his confidence crumble again. Meanwhile, I'd started seeing her, the other woman. Not face to face yet, but online. Quiet observation. Her photos, her captions, her innocent smile. I studied her life like a detective. She didn't know I existed, not really. But I knew everything about her. And when the time came, I'd make sure she did. Because this wasn't just about him anymore. It was about the pieces of me they both stepped over to have their little fantasy. At night, I'd sit by the window scrolling through their posts, remembering the way he used to hold me like that. My chest would tighten, but I wouldn't cry. Tears were a luxury I'd wasted long ago. Now every ache had purpose. Every heartbeat whispered the same thing: wait, watch, endure. The fall will be beautiful. The day I finally saw her in person, the air itself felt charged, like a storm waiting to break. She was prettier than her pictures, I'll give her that. Soft eyes, naive smile, the kind of girl who still believes people mean what they say. I almost pitied her, almost. She wasn't evil, just foolish, a mirror of who I used to be. I watched from across the cafe, my coffee untouched, heart steady. She laughed into her phone, and I knew it was him. That laugh, it stabbed me clean through, but instead of breaking, it built something colder inside me. I didn't approach her that day. No, I wanted patience to taste right. Instead, I slipped a small note under her saucer when she wasn't looking. Just one line, handwritten in neat script. He told me the same things he tells you. Nothing else. No name, no clue. Just enough to plant the seed. When she found it, I saw the confusion cross her face. The way her lips parted, her smile faltered. She looked around, searching for who left it. I was already gone. That night he called me, voice trembling. "Someone's messing with her," he said. I feigned concern. "Oh no, that's awful. Maybe it's karma." He went silent. For the first time I heard fear. Not anger, not guilt, fear. And that sound was music. Over the next week the cracks widened. She started posting cryptic captions, deleting photos, and he grew frantic, trying to control the narrative. Meanwhile, I kept feeding the storm, little nudges here and there. Anonymous hints that turned them against each other. The beauty of revenge isn't in the chaos you cause. It's in watching them unravel with their own hands. He started to lash out, but not at me, at himself, at everyone around him. One night he staggered into the flat, eyes rimmed red, muttering about how everyone was against him. I listened as he rambled, watched him try to stitch a defense out of scraps of pride. He begged, he blamed the stress, he blamed fate. He never blamed himself. That's what's maddening about cheaters. They can't hold the weight of their own mess. I let him talk until his words ran dry. Then I walked past him to the kitchen, poured myself a drink, and pretended to be the bored girlfriend. The performance was art. While he burned, I sharpened my tactics. I started sending anonymous messages to people who mattered. His mom, his ex-colleagues, the girl's old school friends. I made sure the messages were gentle but pointed, like cold water thrown at a sleeping man. "You should know this," I wrote. "He's not who he seems." No venom, just fact, receipts, dates, photos, stripped of drama, offered like evidence a court would envy. The reactions were clinical at first. Raises of brows, awkward silences, polite distance. But gradually, the distances became permanent. Invitations stopped. Calls dwindled. Calls from people who once called him mate became curt and infrequent. At the pub where he once swaggered with his pals, He found himself staring into empty chairs. The lads who used to laugh at his stories now glanced away when he entered. Pride is a cruel master. Once it's dented, it's hard to pretend nothing's changed. I saw it in his posture, the way he tried too hard to grin like a bloke pretending he's still in on the joke. It's a nasty sight, watching someone wear broken confidence like an ill-fitting suit. But the sweetest part? When the woman he'd hidden behind started to crumble properly. Her posts grew haunted, apologies threaded through captions, her friends offering gentle concern. She messaged me once, frantic and confused, asking if I knew what was going on. I replied with a single calm line. He told me the same things. No gloating. Just a mirror held up to show them both their own reflection. That silence did more damage than any shout. The message I sent her worked like a match in a room full of gas. Within days, their perfect little bubble burst. I watched it unfold online. Vague quotes, sad emojis, stories about trust and lessons learned. Classic heartbreak theatrics. But beneath all that, I could see the real cracks forming. She stopped tagging him. He stopped posting altogether. And in that eerie silence between their posts, I found peace. Sweet, poetic peace. He came home one evening, hollow-eyed and twitchy. "She's gone," he muttered, voice barely there. "Blocked me on everything." I looked up from my book and said, calm as ever, "Maybe she realized what you really are." He flinched, not at the words but at how effortlessly they slipped from me. He expected tears, maybe even triumph. But I gave him indifference, and that hurt worse. For days after, he tried to fix things, flowers, apologies, empty promises about change. But every time he spoke, it felt rehearsed, like he was performing sincerity he didn't believe in. I'd nod, smile, sip my tea and let him twist. Because I didn't want his sorry. I wanted him to feel the kind of ache that gnaws at your ribs when the world finally gives you back what you gave it. He started drinking more. His messages to her turned desperate. One night, I heard him whisper her name in his sleep. That broke something final in me. Not sadness, not rage, just a quiet clarity. He'd lost her, but he'd lost me long before. The next morning, I deleted our shared photos, cleaned the flat, and left his things neatly folded on the bed. No note, no closure, just absence, the loudest message of all. And as I shut the door behind me, for the first time in years, I didn't feel broken. I felt free. Freedom felt strange at first, almost too quiet, like a room after a storm. I moved into a tiny flat across town, nothing fancy, but it was mine. No traces of him anywhere. No smell of his cologne clinging to the curtains, no echoes of his lies floating in the air. Just space and silence, the kind that didn't hurt anymore. I remember standing in that empty kitchen, boiling my first cup of tea alone, and realizing how peaceful it was not to walk on eggshells. That calm was addictive. But I wasn't done. Not yet. Revenge doesn't end when you walk away. It ends when the echo of their wrongdoing stops chasing you. And his still lingered, in whispers, in rumors, in the mess he made of other people's hearts. I knew he was struggling. Lost his job, moved back to his mom's, barely speaking to anyone. And though I should have felt done, part of me wanted him to see me, thriving untouched, the living proof of his failure. So I started showing up. Not near him, not obvious, but online subtly. Photos of laughter, of evenings with friends, of little successes. He'd watch, of course. They always do. You can block someone, but you can't stop them from looking. Every like from a mutual friend was another dagger twisting in him. I wasn't flaunting revenge, I was living it. Then one night I got a message from an unknown number. "You win," it said. I stared at those two words until the screen dimmed. You win. For a long moment I didn't even know how to feel. Was it satisfaction? Relief? Maybe both. But deep down there was something else. A quiet ache that whispered, did I really win? Because revenge doesn't stitch the wound. It just makes the scar prettier. Still, I couldn't deny it. I'd taken back everything he'd stolen from me. My voice, my peace, my power. I typed a reply but never sent it. What could I possibly say? Took you long enough? You deserved it? None of it mattered anymore. He was already living his punishment, alone, haunted by the wreckage of his own choices. And me? I was finally free from the version of myself who'd begged to be seen. A week later I bumped into him. It wasn't planned, fate's cruel sense of humor maybe. He looked older, tired, like life had drained all that smugness right out of him. When he saw me, he froze. I expected anger, excuses, maybe even guilt. But what I saw instead was something new: recognition. The kind that comes when someone finally realizes what they destroyed. He opened his mouth to speak, but I just smiled. Not the soft, forgiving kind, the calm, final one. The one that says, "You don't get to touch this piece anymore." He looked down, nodded slightly, and walked away. As I stood there, the wind cutting across the street, I felt lighter. It wasn't about him losing, it was about me no longer needing him to lose. Revenge had done its job. Now it was time for closure. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine, watched the city lights flicker, and whispered to myself, "You win." This time it wasn't his message, it was mine. The quiet after revenge is its own kind of test. Everyone tells you it'll feel amazing. That satisfaction will wrap around you like warmth. But it doesn't. It's colder than you'd expect. You sit there, realizing the person who wronged you finally got what they deserved. And yet there's still a hollow echo inside, reminding you how much of yourself you lost in the war. I learned that peace doesn't come from watching someone fall. It comes from walking away and not needing to look back. Days turned into weeks, and I started to rebuild properly this time. No pretending, no performing. Just me, learning how to enjoy my own company again. I began journaling, traveling a bit, saying yes to life without waiting for anyone's permission. Every small joy felt like rebellion. Laughing loudly in cafes, wearing clothes he once said didn't suit me, eating alone without feeling lonely. It's mad how power returns in moments so small you nearly miss them. Then one evening, while scrolling through messages, I found an old video. Us smiling at some festival, the music too loud, our faces too close. For a split second, I felt that familiar ache, the one that once made me weak. But instead of pain, I smiled. Because now I could see it clearly. The girl in that video wasn't happy. She was trying to be enough for someone who was never satisfied. And she didn't deserve that. So I deleted it. No tears, no hesitation. Just a quiet goodbye to the version of me that loved him. I wasn't that girl anymore. I'd survived the heartbreak, the lies, the revenge, and I'd come out sharper, wiser, untouchable. That night, I looked in the mirror, whispered to my reflection, "Never again. Never again." Those two words became my armor. I wore them every day in the way I spoke, walked, even breathed. It wasn't bitterness anymore. It was strength. The kind that doesn't shout, doesn't seek validation. It just exists quietly, unshakable. People noticed the difference. My friends said I glowed. Maybe I did. But it wasn't the glow of love. It was the calm after finally setting down the weight of everything I'd carried for far too long. I started writing about it. Not the gory details, not his name, but the feeling of it all. The lessons stitched into my skin. The words poured out like therapy disguised as poetry. And for the first time, people listened. Women I'd never met messaged me saying, "I felt this. I've been there." It hit me then, my revenge had grown into something bigger. It wasn't about him anymore. It was about every woman who'd been made to feel small and quiet and replaceable. I'd turned pain into power, and power into purpose. One night, out of nowhere, his name flashed on my phone again. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. His voice was low, broken, the sound of a man who'd finally met himself. "I just wanted to say sorry," he said. "You didn't deserve any of it." I let the silence stretch. Then I said, calm and certain, "You're right. I didn't." And that was it. No closure talk, no tears. Just truth. Clean and final. When I hung up, I didn't feel triumph, just peace. Because forgiveness isn't for them. It's for you, the part of you that deserves rest after the storm. I walked to the window, looked out at the city lights, and realized this wasn't the end of a revenge story. It was the beginning of a redemption one. The night felt softer than usual, quiet, steady, almost kind. I sat by the window, tea in hand, watching the lights shimmer across the street. For the first time in what felt like forever, my chest didn't ache. No ghosts whispering his name. No heavy thoughts dragging me down. Just me, whole, alive, finally at peace. I thought about everything that had happened, the lies, the heartbreak, the revenge, the silence that followed. It all played in my head like a film I'd already watched too many times. And yet, instead of anger, I felt gratitude. Not for the pain, but for the strength it carved out of me. Because the truth is, he didn't destroy me. He introduced me to the version of myself that no heartbreak could break again. Some people never change, they keep chasing new faces, new thrills, trying to fill the emptiness they created. But I didn't need to chase anything anymore. My revenge wasn't about breaking him. It was about rebuilding me. And I did. Brick by brick. Quietly. Powerfully. A message blinked on my phone, a friend asking if I was joining for dinner. I smiled. Yeah, I'll be there soon. I slipped on my coat, looked once more at the reflection in the glass, and whispered, "You did it. You made it out." Then I turned off the lights and stepped out into the night, not as the woman who was betrayed, or the one who sought revenge, but as someone reborn from both. And maybe that's the real victory, not watching them fall, but knowing you'll never kneel again. Because they called it love, but I called it payback, and in the end I won both.